Welcome to Blind Level Tech. This isn't just accessible tech talk. This is technology on a whole new level. We're showing you just how possible it is to live the life you want.
Hello and happy, I guess now belated New Year to everybody. Welcome to Blind Level Tech. I am your host, Evan Starnes, and we're back to the deep voice thing again. Oh yeah. I am joined by my co-host, Kelvin Crosby.
Hey, so good to see you, even though I can't see you. Isn't that a beautiful day in the neighborhood? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. It's going to be weird editing this part out. I'm going to cringe.
Yeah, I can't believe I pulled that off.
Oh my gosh, that was like the best improv move that I've seen so far this year. And we're only just beginning, so we've got a lot of time to make more.
Of the year, man.
Oh, lordy. Whew, well, man, after all the winter holidays and all this craziness, I'm sure we've got some more tech that we didn't have before recording. And we've got enough tech to actually have a good tech piece of the week. My tech piece this week is, it's definitely a wish right now because it's really expensive. And my tech piece is the Instapot Duo that has the Wi-Fi enabled one, of course, because, besides the fact that it's a really, really, really sweet pressure cooker, it's also a pretty good crock pot and a steamer and a bunch of other things. And you could even, if you get the air fryer lid, you can turn it into an air fryer. The app is fairly accessible. It used to be more so, and they've made some weird updates, but it's still good. The cool part about these new Instant Pots is that you no longer have to, and you haven't for a while had to manually release the pressure, because I imagine for a lot of people, a lot of pressure cooker owners, releasing the pressure from your pressure cooker has always been a bit of an anxiety inducer because it just comes spouting out at you. But this one, you can do it remotely and through the app or through the skill. I think they still have a smart skill, but you can do it through the app. And it's really cool. And it sounds cool, too. But, Calvin, do you got a tech piece of the week?
Absolutely. My Shure SM58 with a USB
to XLR adapter?
Yep. And
which those things are underrated.
And I tell you, it has changed my life because, I'm on the road again. And it's January. This means CES is right around the corner. We got CSUN up and coming. We got ATI coming around. Like, we got conferences everywhere. So moving forward, that is going to be my go-to mic to make sure I sound like $1 million.
Well, I definitely think we should get into today's guest because I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those episodes that we either have to split into two parts or try and keep ourselves under control, but would like to
self-control, Evan. Self-control.
Yeah, that's one of the things I struggle with.
Exhale.
Breathe in and breathe out.
Okay.
And also, welcome Debra Erickson to Blind Level Tech. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on the show. Do you have a particular tech piece of the week or a tech gadget that you'd recommend to our audience?
I do have a tech gadget. It's called an auto measure spout, and it deposits exactly 1 tablespoon of liquid into your pan or your bowl, such as olive oil or vinegar or whatever liquid you want to use, and then it stops automatically, even if it's still held upside down.
That's really
awesome.
Cool. I didn't even think about that.
I think I'm putting that on my list to buy tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
So it can do liquids, solids.
No solids, just liquids.
No solids, just liquids. But it's a good liquid measuring cup because liquid measuring cups have always been weird.
You don't want to put too much vanilla in your
in your
your
cookie
chocolate chip
mix.
cookies.
Well,
Because those chocolate chip cookies are really good, but too much vanilla.
no, it's true. And so that auto measure spout only comes out with a tablespoon. Unfortunately, they don't sell it in a teaspoon measurement because that would work great for vanilla. But tablespoons
That'd be
a lot.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool if you had one that you could kind of switch from tablespoon to teaspoon to third, quarter, half, whatever it is.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Maybe they'll come up with that.
Yeah.
They might come up with like a 2.0 or something of that, but that's really, really cool. Could you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself and the role you play in the blind community, especially with cooking?
Yeah. So my name is Debra Erickson. I have retinitis pigmentosa, which leaves me with very little vision in one eye only. The Blind Kitchen is an online store and agency only. And so how it got started was I was the only blind student in culinary school. And so I had to solve a lot of problems. And so as I was trying to solve these problems, I'm looking at different places and I can find something great in this podcast, something great in this video, something great in this book, but there was no organization to it. There wasn't just one place. So that's what the Blind Kitchen became. It's a place so you can purchase the accessible cooking tools that we have, and we have over 90 now in the store. Or you can just come to get information in the Blind Kitchen library. So we have things on labeling things, identifying things in closed containers. How do you access and read recipes after vision loss? Shopping, dining, and then, of course, everything to do with cooking and different cooking methods. So every tool comes in its own bag labeled with large print and braille, so it's accessible to everyone. And then each tool, like when I just spoke of the auto measure spout, it'll come to you in its own bag marked in large print and braille. And if you forgot what I said to do or you don't know how to use it, there's an audio described video on the website that tells you what the tool is, why it's blind friendly, and how to use and care for it.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Now, for those curious, or maybe especially for some novice cooks in this in the audience, what are some things that differentiate typical cooking utensils from more adaptive cooking utensils? Like I'm thinking brailled measuring cups and stuff like that.
Yeah. That is an excellent question. I would say if you look through the tools, you'll find some common themes. For example, wooden utensils, common utensils like wooden spoon, wooden tongs, a wooden skimmer or a spider, and some people would call it a strainer. We sell those, and the reason ours are so adaptive is because they have extra long handles. So that way you can hover above the pan if you're a little leery of touching the hot pan. That wood doesn't conduct heat. So it can stay in the pan and you can find it and then work your way down when you're comfortable. The other thing is if it's got a long handle like that, it can't fall down in the pan, which is a real bonus point. And then the third thing is it's very difficult with vision loss to try and spoon marinara sauce or you spoon out your marinara sauce and then you got to get your metal spoon out of the pot, and it's easy to drip it across the counter till you get to the spoon rest. This way you can just leave it in the pan.
Yeah.
So those are common. That's one thing that makes the blind, that we took common utensils and things and said, how can this be more, which is the most blind friendly? And that's what we came up with. I'm kind of the America's Test Kitchen of testing things, but mine is for quality and blind friendliness. Yeah.
So do you find that when you're testing a product, let's just say you get a product, and what is your evaluation? Like, all right, are you looking at the ease of use? You looking at the simplicity or the wear and tear in long term? Like, what is your process to make sure that this product is going to be the best for people with visual impairments?
All of the above, and I can give you an example. So first of all, many of the tools available in the Blind Kitchen are made of stainless steel. So they're never going to rust, they're never going to stain, and they're probably going to last forever with proper use. It takes a lot to mess up a stainless steel thing. So that's bonus points if it is. But for one thing is I was looking for an avocado slicer. Even Meryl Streep had to go to the emergency room because she cut herself severely trying to cut into an avocado. So I probably bought 15 or more to say which one is going to be the most user friendly. And so some of them were ridiculous. They looked like torture instruments. Some of them had like too many pieces. It was like crazy. But I found one, and I'll describe it just so you can get an idea of why we chose it, that aspect. First of all, it's shaped it's made of stainless steel, and it's shaped roughly like a triangle. At the tip of the triangle, there is jagged little stainless steel teeth. They're not sharp enough to cut your skin, but they're sharp enough to get under the avocado seed and pry it out. The other thing is it's got a side that has a slightly sawed edge. Again, not sharp enough to cut your skin on that side, but it cuts through it can cut through the skin of the avocado, because most injuries occur is like if you're using a paring knife, you're pushing hard to get through the skin, and then all of a sudden, boom, it cuts right through the flesh. Yep. There's no more resistance, and it comes out the other side. So this one can't cut your skin, even if that were to happen. And so the other thing is, it's because this one doesn't have a handle, it's just that triangle, your hands are real close to the action. You know where that stone is, because you're right there. And the third side of it has just a slight, like a sloped edge, the third side of it, perfect for scooping the flesh out of the skin. It's just a wonderful tool, and 90% of the tools in the blind kitchen aren't made for blind or visually impaired people. But you can see how that one would just be head and shoulders ahead of other products with really sharp blades. They're not necessary for that particular task.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very fascinating. And like, I don't know, we can want to go down the path, but it's creating universal design products.
No, you're kind of getting at what I was trying to say. It really ties into the universal access for all. And because you do see a lot of adaptive, measuring cups and things like that out there that have braille on them or that talk. I had a liquid measuring cup that talked. It was a nightmare. I still have it.
Wipe the dust off of it, but don't use it.
Yeah, exactly. But, not everything needs to be adapted. In fact, even when I was at I was at a training program a couple of years ago, like all of their kitchen equipment and utensils had, it was just all mainstream stuff that they had, modified or put braille on. And, it was just mainstream stuff, not anything from the independent living aids or anything like that at all. But is there an instance, though, where somebody would benefit from like an adaptive device, like a talking I can't even say the word
thermometer.
Now. A talking meat thermometer or something like that? Because I've heard hit or miss about those, and I've personally not really liked a lot of the talking meat thermometers, and I'm sure there's better alternatives to some of these things too. But like, how necessary is this adaptive equipment?
So,
based on what you'd said.
Yeah, it is very important to know the internal temperature of a protein such as poultry, because if it doesn't reach at least 165 degrees in the center nearest the bone, you could really make your family members and friends very sick. So it's important to know that. The talking thermometers, talking scales across the board, they vary in quality, they vary in sound, they vary in what they're able to do. And that's one of my frustrations with this business. Because the Kaizen thermometer, only 3 buttons, spoke loudly and clearly, instant read. They no longer sell them. I contacted the company, and they got no response. My brother tried to contact them, no response. So now I'm looking on the market, and I don't put out anything that I don't think is quality enough, but this has been a real problem. So I found another one that's not as good as the Kaizen, but the probe, when you go to pull, this is like a switchblade kind of thing, the instant read, not like the lollipop ones that stay outside. I like the instant read. But you need another tool to get the probe out. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's like tucks too far into the handle. So, and some of them have really tinny voices, or they're not very loud. So we have sourced another one, but right now, even if you go to our store shelves, they're out of stock because I'm not going to provide something. So you hit on it. Talking scales the same way. Some of them, the sound quality is just awful. So I try to source the very best, and if it's inferior, I'm not going to sell it. I'm just not. You can buy that inferior product and get mad at that company. I don't want you to buy it
you don't
from
want to
me.
be held accountable for
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Do you find that when we think about innovation and development of product, do you find that we really need to, like, talking scales and thermometers and different things that need to give a specific, exact information is one of the harder things to get for visually impaired people to be accessible?
It is, but AI is changing that. Now, one thing I got to be careful to say here is I've always said if we're going to have vision loss, we should have been given another hand, because I never have enough hands to do what I need to do.
That's one of the best things I've heard today.
So if I want to use like Be My Eyes or Ira to look at a thermometer that doesn't talk, that may have higher ratings for accuracy, then but now I need two hands. First of all, I need to find where to insert the thermometer into the turkey or the chicken or whatever I'm cooking. And so now one hand is holding that and making sure I've got the button that's going to read it or that they can see it. But now the other hand is holding the phone. It can be really awkward, but there's potential here. There's absolutely potential here.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a trick. So I always use a tripod when I'm on Ira, and I put the phone in the tripod. So then I got at least two hands free.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, and then just set your phone and then it'll be angled properly. And with a lot of these devices nowadays, I see a lot of Bluetooth/app integration in these things, and that's actually that's something that personally has benefited us as blind people quite a bit, especially when I was talking about like the Instant Pot or the air fryer. I always love to talk about and will constantly talk about and will always recommend. They all have apps that are pretty accessible and that can give you access to that information. Yes, on your phone, it's not going to be right on the device, but it's still there, and it's still a mainstream gadget that you don't have to source from, a specialty retailer. Do you know of any good Bluetooth or app enabled like thermometers or scales or things that really would be beneficial to have an app with them?
That's a loaded question, because what I have found is apps. So let's take a device that was a wonderful identifier. It was like $1,200. It was called the ID Mate.
Oh, I still have one. I haven't retired mine.
Okay, and you probably shouldn't. You paid that much money for it. But the problem is there's no support for it anymore.
Yeah, they quit making parts.
They did, and they quit doing upgrades for the product numbers. So, and there were other apps out there. There was one for, I think, a sous vide machine. And so people bought it. It was accessible through your phone. You were able to use it. And then they quit updating the app. So it became obsolete. So I kind of tend to go away from apps as a rule. It doesn't mean that there are apps that do faithfully update. There's the iPhone, and there's pros and cons to that too. But some do. Amazon's going to update their stuff as a rule, although they quit doing their smart oven, the convection oven.
Yeah, and the microwave, they quit doing that too.
Yeah.
So
there's pros and cons to that. I have one of those that I bought probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I absolutely love it. I use it every day. But I had told a student about it, and he went online. He's like, I can't find it.
They don't make it.
And they don't
you have to
make
get it used.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I find that one of the biggest frustrations is keeping your app up to date, and also keeping it accessible, because when things break and then making it accessible. So I completely agree with you on this, because honestly, when it comes to cooking, sometimes I feel like keeping it simpler rather than too techy is somewhat better. Would you say?
I agree.
I agree too. And that's one of the goals of the Blind Kitchen too, is to not, so a lot of my customer base are people that love to cook. They were cooks for their families or grillers for their families or whatever. And then because of different reasons, primarily in my world, it's because of age-related vision loss, like macular degeneration and such. They have no clue how to get back in the kitchen. And these people are not going to go to a tech center, a blind tech center, to learn how to use VoiceOver or to learn how to use JAWS or, their smartphone or iPhone, iPad and stuff like that. So if I can keep it simple, I'm going to serve a lot of people versus those. I love technology. I think you can hear it in my voice. I really do.
Definitely.
But I also find it that probably 3/4 of the population that contacts me does not love it so much. So I try to find answers for all people, and technology can be a barrier to accessibility.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Well, I think that's something really, really interesting. And I kind of come back to my invention, the seaming cane. Yes, it's a technology piece, but they wanted to keep it really, really simple. And I think that is unique. And I think it's really, really important that when we think as visually impaired individuals that have access to the kitchen, using our senses and our skills of our natural abilities to help us cook the best food possible, like a good pan of brownies. Man, that sounds good.
Without having to depend on our smartphone and servers and apps and things not being potentially available. Now, kind of before we were recording, there's actually a really cool topic that we had touched on, but where are some areas that, just aren't being met? What are some tools and devices that would benefit the blind and low vision community for cooking? I know we're talking about like a plate, for instance, that like with higher walls, and that makes a whole lot of sense.
Exactly. So it's very difficult to eat properly and with good posture with vision loss. It just is. We can't see it. We take a lot of air bites. So one of the things that I have looked for, and Ira has helped me to look for it, is to find a plate that basically has a backstop. So I use this for browning meat. Let me explain. So a round pan, when I'm browning meat, if I use a pan with sloped sides for small pieces of food like that, I'm talking browning ground meat, things with little pieces.
Oh, yeah.
That's an off-ramp for the food as far as I'm concerned, if I'm trying to stir it around and keep it, especially if it's a shallow pan. There are deep saute pans available. I don't sell them, but they are accessible because the walls come straight up. And they're not deep like a soup pan. They're only probably like about 3-inch walls. But that way, when I'm browning that meat, I'm going to hit a wall instead of going off a ramp. So the same thing could be true for plates, whether they're square or round. It could be attractive. But when I'm using my fork and I come to the edge of the plate, instead of accidentally knocking it off, it could hit a wall. And that food would stay in the plate. Can't find those right now.
Yeah.
Nope.
Do you think a square plate would be better for that, or a round plate?
There was nothing even close to a round plate for that on the market at all. And now that I'm thinking about it, wouldn't it be nice if you had square or round? Doesn't matter. We all eat all different kinds of plates. If they can make a round pan with high walls. But the other thing is, if you want a cereal bowl or a soup bowl with those high walls. Square would work as well. But the other thing that might be nice is if it had like a little lip, plan B, a little edge of a lip that if the food were to come up and try to go up the wall and over the top, there'd be this tiny, almost imperceptible.
Like a divot.
Yeah, or a more like, I'm thinking more like a ceiling, that the food would hit it and come right back down.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking of, because like having it. Yeah, or like a ring, kind of like a big Saturn ring around. Like if I'm visualizing like a bowl, you have kind of that little lip with the divot in it, so the food will just land either in that divot and then slide back down, or it'll hit it and just stay there and you'll be able to retrieve it and it won't make a big mess all over the table.
Exactly.
Or, especially if it's a pan, because that is definitely I always struggle when browning meat to not accidentally slop it out onto the stove and then make a big mess that you got to clean up. You'd also mentioned this really brilliant idea of having a way to figure out where stove burners are, especially on these flat top stoves. I think having something like a silicone overlay that you put over the stove so you can find the burners and the edges of them, I think that could be cool. But what are your thoughts on that particular device?
Well, I have looked into it. Silicone will catch fire if the temperature is too high. It can go to I'm making up a number, but I think it's 457 degrees. It can go pretty high, and you can bake with it and stuff like that, but you can't put it on your stovetop. And I want to put a caveat here is, first of all, no matter whether you have a flat top stove, an electric coil stove, or a gas stove, people can know how to center their pots and pans on that stove confidently. And we have a video on it on our YouTube channel and our website. So I'm not going to go through that whole thing, but people could look at that. But there are some people, their anxiety is so high, and I'm talking specifically about the glass top stove. It's flat. There is no tactile information, especially once you turn it on and put the pan on. So I actually have checked into seeing if there are overlays that can withstand the highest heat on your stove that would have it. Maybe they'd be 1/16 of an inch tall, and it would be just lay across your glass top stove, and the circles in it would match the size of your burners, or maybe be just a little bit larger, so it's not constantly touching. I think for some people that would ease their anxiety. And the other thing is you're trying to teach your child with vision loss how to cook. That might be a real good starter way to do it. But as far as I can tell, that does not exist in the world.
I think we need to make that happen.
Yeah, it sounds like we got an idea for a new product. I don't know. We can be successful with that.
We'll see what happens.
Both Kelvin and I are successful entrepreneurs who are blind. So if you are listening and you want to be an entrepreneur, we just gave you something we know would have value in the marketplace. You don't even have to do your research. So go for it. And then give me a call and let's talk prices.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'll tell you guys, after all this talk about cooking, I'm honestly a little hungry right now. I think I could use Sandwich of the Week. You know what? I don't have a sandwich this week. So while I think of a sandwich, Kelvin, I'm going to be a big jerk and throw you in the hot seat.
All right. I'm going to Jersey Mike's with a Philly cheesesteak. The Jersey Philly, I think it's called, or the Philly Jersey or something.
I think it's Mike's Famous Philly. Philly. Mike's
with
Famous
no
Philly.
vegetables.
No vegetables.
Yeah.
Vegetables are good for your eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a lie. That's not truth.
You're right.
That's what they all say.
You're right.
Well, goodness gracious. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine a Philly, at least a Jersey Mike's Philly without the veggies, man. That's what makes it what it is. But to each their own. I'm going to go with a classic that I've done before, but I just absolutely adore these sandwiches. There's a delicious sandwich place called Chiba Hut. I don't know if it's just a Colorado thing or if it's like an international or a national thing, but what I know is that they can throw down some mean toasted subs. And if you're in the Denver metro area and have not tried Chiba Hut out and you like sandwiches, I cannot emphasize how much you are missing out right now. But they have one that's the Cali Mist, and that thing is got like avocado and peppers, steak, cheese, and it's a big, delicious, toasted, crispy, savory, yummy sandwich. So my sandwich of the week is the Cali Mist from Chiba Hut. How about you, Deborah? What would be your sandwich this week?
As a chef, one of the things that I was taught is that if you can make something really good with simple ingredients, then you're really talented. So for me, I really am continually trying to up my game on grilled cheeses, making sure they're crispy. You can use all different kinds of cheeses. You can use herbs in them. You could put meat in there if you wanted to. But making the perfect grilled cheese, I think it provides a lot of opportunity to change it up here and there, but to make sure it's crispy and not soggy in the middle. Yeah, that'd be my go-to.
Pretty underrated. And you can air fry them too.
Oh, yeah? I've made one in a toaster bag before.
They're better in the air fryer, trust me.
Well, you can't put butter on them in a toaster bag. It's not good.
Nope.
I mean, Evan, the air fryer just nerd. Like,
I could live out of one.
That's all he lives off of.
So what is the air fryer brand and model you have?
Mine is the Kosari. Oh boy, here we go, audience. Mine is the Kosari Dual Blaze 6.8 quarts air fryer. It's a smart air fryer, and it has.
That's exactly what I have. I love it. You don't have to flip the food.
The big square one.
Yeah.
With the shoot.
Yep. That's exactly what I have. The blind griller. Do you know him?
I do.
Yep. He's the one that told me about it. Yep. So he talked me into he talked me into trying it. I'm like, this is cool.
It's like the only good air fryer that I've ever seen that you don't have to flip the darn food.
That's
and
right.
Pull the basket out every few minutes.
Yep.
Well, Deborah, do you go by Deborah or Debbie? I feel like I've been calling you Deborah this whole time.
Deborah is what I go by. I grew up Debbie in Indiana, but I kind of retired that name.
That is a fair. Well, I just want to say it has been really, really, really fun having you on BLT.
Well, I've had a wonderful time, too. Thank you so much for having me. You guys are a blast.
Absolutely. And where can people find you, and where can people find The Blind Kitchen?
Okay, so we're online only. So you can go to theblindkitchen.com. It's a very clean, no pop-up ads. It's an accessible, organized website, good for screen readers or magnifying software. You can write to me. My mailbox is info@theblindkitchen.com. Or I take phone calls, 503-313-2345. So that's how you can reach us.
Well, that's awesome. And we'll be sure to put all of that in the show notes for your convenience.
Thank you.
And now, Kelvin, is there anything that you would like to conclude the show with before we wrap it up?
I think the one thing I came from today's show is that we don't always have to be super techy. As long as we are using our natural ability to live beyond our challenges.
And in some cases, simple is better. In a lot of cases, in fact, actually. Well, thanks again, Deborah, for being on BLT, and hope to have you on future shows.
Well, thank you.
Be a blast.
I'd love to come back.
Absolutely. And thank you all so much for listening to Blind Level Check. Like I said, there's going to be some changes coming up with the show. Not very big ones, but we're going to be refreshing.
We don't want change.
Nobody likes change. Well, thank you all so much for listening to another episode of Blind Level Check. I hope that everybody's New Year's went well and that you partied not too hard, although I can't make any promises because I did too, and I love partying. If, of course, you have any questions or feedback or comments or suggestions or whatever it might be for me, Kelvin, or any of our other podcast hosts, you can always email feedback@aftersight.org or call 720-712-8856. I've been your host of Blind Level Check, Evan Starnes, joined by my co-host, Kelvin Crosby.
I just lost my mouth. It just fell off my face. Go live beyond your challenges and plug in your device.
Oh, we're going to keep that in, I think.